Hello, amateur anime reviews. Okay, today I'm going to attempt to talk about a series I saw recently called Fooly Cooly. Um, it's actually spelled FLCL, but you're supposed to say it Cooly Fooly. I guess it was originally aired back around 2001-ish, and it was released on DVD around 2005, 2006 or so, but I guess it's out of print now. I actually saw it on Netflix, so that's how I came across it. Um, it was directed by, and I apologize because I'm going to totally mess up everybody's name here, but it was directed by Kazuya Tozuramaki, who was the director of, I guess, Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is a pretty popular science fiction anime, which I, to my regret, have not watched yet. It was written by Yoji Inokito, who was the writer, and a lot of the music was written by a rock band called The Pillows, who was a Japanese rock band at the time. Basically, his story is a very weird, trippy, dreamlike, surrealistic story. It follows the story of a young boy who's about 12 or 13-ish. Actually, I think he's 12, named Naota, and he's kind of this young guy who's kind of trying to figure out what's going on in life. He's kind of bummed about a lot of stuff. Uh, his friends seem vapid. His brother has left for the States, and he's still trying to find his way. He kind of spends a lot of his time with a young lady named Mamimi, who's a little bit older. She's about maybe 17ish, and she was his brother's girlfriend before his brother went away, and they have this kind of weird relationship where you're not too sure if they're just friends or if maybe Mamimi is, she's obviously a very lonely and depressed girl, and you're not too sure if she's trying to replace the brother with Naoto or not. It's just kind of a strange relationship that they have. Anyway, one day he has this encounter with a slightly older girl. She's maybe about 19ish, named Haruko. She comes blazing into town on this scooter. She's got a Rickenbacker brace on her back. She literally runs into him, and basically inserts herself into her life, into his life. They're hanging around. The next thing you know, she's moved into his house. He lives with his dad and his granddad. His dad is a lot more outgoing. He's a little kind of wacky. Maybe his dad needs to grow up a little bit. And she just goes about, changing their lives, changing his lives. He eventually starts looking at, things around him a little bit differently, and so on and so forth. And eventually is about the sort of changes that he goes through. Now, the what's going on is this is a very, very weird and trippy movie. Like I said, the description that they had online on Netflix, where they compared it to the Beatles film Yellow Submarine. I'm not so sure it's exactly like that. The animation style and the designs don't really quite look like that, and the story that accompanies it isn't quite on this, isn't quite the same thing. But I can see how they made that comparison, because, like I said, it's lots of weird abstract things goes on. Uh, there's a uh, there's a factory in the town that they live in, but the factory is shaped like an old-fashioned iron. There's many parts in the stories where weird things happen. Uh, uh, Naoto, weird starts growing things out of his skull. He's growing horns. At one point, he's growing ears. At one point, robots sprout out of his brain. There's lots of stuff where Haruko is flying around on her scooter. She's fighting the robot. She's clonking people with her base. They're having fights and things. There's lots of sort of weird things going on with the animation style and with the art, where some things are very much a tribute to like old Hong Kong action films with gunfights and things like that. There's one of the robots that comes out of Naruto's skull moves into the house and starts doing chores. There's a part where the animation takes a twist, and all of a sudden it's a parody of the South Park animation style. There's stuff where the regular animation stops and it looks like it's a page out of a manga. Just bizarre things happen like very arbitrarily and things like that, you know what I mean? And it's just really off the wall and it goes for broke and it's crazy and it's just over the top, you know. Now, having said that, I think what the story really is, what it really is, it's really there's lots of metaphors and lots of symbolism and things like that. But after you watch the first, couple episodes, couple and a half episodes, you start to get it. And it's what the story really is about is really all a metaphor for for puberty and coming of age and things like that. And it's really obvious after a while where you see exactly where certain transformation starts happening. Certain people are in embarrassing situations. Certain people are talking about, clumsily talking about their longings and things like that. Um, there's lots of stuff where there's, lots of sexual metaphors and even symbolism, lots of double entendres, lots of triple entendres, and things like that. Now, having said that, there's really nothing explicit about it. I mean, there's no nudity at all. Nobody actually has sex per se. There's no actual sex scenes or anything like that. But on the other hand, like I said, you watch it, it's pretty obvious the way what's going on here. But having said that, it has kind of a sweet tone to it, and people do learn lessons along the way, and so on and so forth. At some point in the story, these bizarre science fiction elements kind of come into play. That kind of, sort of, maybe explain exactly why Haruko is able to do a lot of the crazy things she's able to do, and why robots and creatures and things are appearing all of a sudden. But still, it's still very weird and very dreamlike. Um, you know what I mean? There's no, it's not hard science fiction. It doesn't turn into 2001 or anything like that. It's still a very dreamlike and trippy thing. Having said that, it's really entertaining. I had fun listening to a lot of the music. It's kind of on that sort of, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe alternative pop, power pop type style. There's lots of guitars in the story that actually look like real guitars. I really had a lot of fun with the art style. I don't know how to describe it. Uh, Other than it's very much you see a lot of traditional anime styles. There seems to be a little bit of Western styles thrown in there as well. I'm not an expert on anime, so I have a hard time explaining it. But to me personally, it's very visually appealing. It's very well done. Very fluid and kinetic and everything like that. So if you're looking for something that's very conventional and straightforward, you might be disappointed. But if you're willing to sit through a story that kind of, takes place in bizarro world and just kind of go along with the characters and things like that, you might have fun with it. Okay, so that's it. I got to thank you very much, and everybody have a good day.